triple level of analysis regarding the importance of achieving the best first impression possible, and how would we do it in a premise where we don't really sure who are we trying to communicate to. I'm going to further analyze the indirect clash to what we hear from second government regarding how it's more plausible to try to create a positive first impression. Then I'm gonna talk about how this space program as a whole, and specifically the Voyager, should be a campus to humanity, where we should try to shape a positive direction and path to the entire human species, and the importance of that. But first, a couple of rebuttals. So we hear from Yair several interesting things. First of all, he says that, and I quote, we're gonna try to direct to send a message that, and he's finally saying a process of value. The thing is, and we already heard that in a short messages, short images, short sound, as we're talking in this debate, you can never send the message of a process. You can never send a message of something that is continuous. You could only get a short message that is either positive or negative, or at best case, very confusing. And I'm going to show to you why this complexity that Yair talks about is really bad to us. Then we hear that well, good is subjective, and that we could never know how we send actually a good message that will work for our best interest. So actually, we're disagreeing on this point exactly, because we believe that there is an objective good. We think that these kind of things we put in the capsula, such as the sound of wind, the sound of water, the sound of Mozart's music, this cannot be interpreted as a bad thing or something that wants to attack you or operate against you. So we do think there is an objective good. And the last point, Yair wants to create a compassion. We have a problem with the way they're choosing to doing so, because they say that if the whole picture is going to be of a positive one, so we're going to create them, we're going to make them very suspicious about it. We think that, and instead of that, they wanted to create a complex image. We think that it's bad because complexity leads to confusion. Confusion leads to fear. Fear leads to aggression, and this is the thing, and especially when we're interacting. And I'm going to elaborate in my point why exactly this is the case. But this is the way we see, and we think that complexity, it's not the way to interact with entity you have no idea of, no clue of. Okay, so to my point, and this is exactly the continuation of what I started in the rebuttal. So we operate under the premises that either the creatures are superior or inferior to the human race. So we're saying that if at the best case, which they are inferior to us, so we want to attract them. So because we have the benefits of this, that they could study us and we could study them, and we could all evolve in a wonderful way. So we want them to be close. The second scenario is that they are superior to us or at the same level of us, not now. So and they could be a threat and etc. So we say about that the first impression that creates should be super not complex, super simple, and of one state of mind. Because if we because the first reaction of any intellectual entity, and whatever level we're speaking about, is of reacting in a good way, in a responsive way to something that is familiar, which is similar to my own, to the things that I know. The minute that I send a message of something that is external to me, something that might be aggressive, that something that even a little bit might be strange, I create this kind of suspicious, I create this kind of aggression, I let the fear and the unknown take over, and these are the things we're afraid of most. Yes,
When exposed to something frightening that maybe I don't fully comprehend, my instincts is caution, not full-hearted engagement. So if we're talking about an unknown future, showing strength and creating caution on both sides is preferable for everyone.
Okay, so we think that the more plausible thing to do, if we accept the idea of caution, so we can see it with animals. This is the best. This is the best case for us when a female cat is afraid on her puppies and trying to protect it. She's being careful, but the first thing she will do when someone is going to approach her, even if it's to offer her food or milk, she's gonna do like or something to threaten them, because this is the reaction, that this is the most primitive reaction. This is what we're trying to tackle here, and when we think this is this is what's going to happen. Therefore, we think that the only positive things, okay, and this is the important thing. No, thank you, because you need to understand that the situation is, to begin with, is for not our favor, because this is something strange, this is something alien, something that came out of nowhere, something we didn't know there is out there, okay? They are receiving a capsula from the unknown. So the situation to begin with is not to our favor. So this is why we have the right, or we need to put it, to balance it and make it to our favor, because otherwise we're gonna let curiosity evolve into the complexity, evolve into fear, evolve into aggression, and this is something that we don't know. Furthermore, we're going to talk a little bit about how, and really quickly, about how this is similar to the responsibility we carry upon ourselves when we shape the course of history, when we rewrite the pages of history, because this is actually what we're doing here, and we think that this is important this is important to shape it in a positive way. Firstly, because my whole first point about how we receive a better chance for a better communication, and secondly, because we think that this should be the how should we act as a human species and what we should aspire to. Therefore, we're very happy to oppose.